Religion is essential for human growth, even though it might not seem like it. Now, why exactly would religion be essential to humans? Now, there's a few pillars which make society and have built civilization. And the more that exist, if you look at all of them, I'm not going to go over all of them, but if you look at them, for instance, one of them might be family, one of them might be education, and one of them most certainly is religion. Now, these are the things that allow society and civilization pretty much to function, thrive, and prosper. And with less pillars or unstable pillars, as what's happening as of recently in the modern era, civilization will decline. Unrest and problems will continue to occur because of it. Religion is one of those essential pillars, and it is slowly eroding. And the consequences of it eroding are actually quite obvious and quite clear. A stronger and stronger divide is happening in Western society. Ever since the Charlie Kirk incident, basically where Charlie Kirk was shot, and the radicalized attacks on the far right, done to far right people in like most cases, it seems as if that's the current trend so far, this is a clear indicator and an example of the divide. Other nations, however, might have a unifying religion for the most part, where even though there might be some disagreements, sometimes, there can be a clear agreement on the religion, which is the unifying factor, which is what happened more so before. Ever since the advancement of science, though, that has started to decline. Now, the reason, however, why religion is essential is because religion brings something too crucial, and it doesn't exist today. Because with the advancement of science and the basically tossing away religion, there's a void that needs to be filled. And what exactly is that void? Now, even though science has strong arguments against the scripture or existence of what some religions might say, for instance, all religion has one essential common factor, and that is to teach people acceptance. Every single religion, and I really do mean every single religion, by the way, there is no religion which dodges this rule. Every single religion teaches acceptance. And as you can see right here, there's this thing, science versus religion. Searches for the answers, strict laws and practices, lectures, big heavy books. It's basically a meme, right? The big thing, the big difference though, is that when you go down this path of science, you start to lose this feeling of basically acceptance. You having where is the acceptance if life is meaningless then in this case? And honestly, many people struggle with that. And life is honestly cruel, unfair, or quite frankly brutal. But there is one thing which can override all of this, by the way, and make it much more bearable, or even ignore it a bit sometimes. And this, once again, is acceptance. Acceptance is so important. Life for some people might have absolutely no meaning. For instance, the person with science, or who's very heavily into science, and no meaning at all, by the way, and it feels very devoid of meaning, and it's completely pointless. And this is because there is no meaning to life. Basically, there is no acceptance. Death, in some sense, actually becomes scary. Death is scary, actually, for a majority of people, even sometimes those who are religious. Religion, however, provides that acceptance and meaning at the same time. Two things which are essential to people. And without these, depression or anxiety only increases, as well, by the way, as radicalization, which we'll get to, because people, they need to find some sort of religion. And if they don't find one thing to worship, they will find a pseudo-religion to worship, which may teach acceptance, not necessarily in the way that you'd like. The Charlie Kirk being shot sort of version, not the one that you want. Now, the thing is, there has been an erosion and decline of religion itself. And as you can see here, this is 2007. I mean, it's only been going down more and more and more and more. Like, it just keeps going down, and there's a really good chance it's going to keep going down. Now, with the advancements in science and the greater understanding of nature and how basically physical reality works in more detail and how the universe works and such, the scripture or texts of many religions were put to the test. And in most people's eyes, the people who basically are not religious, they failed. Now, although religion might be difficult to believe, for some people, what is believed is not actually important. This is not the important part of religion. Rather, once again, it's all about the acceptance of life that religion brings with it. That is the true value of religion and why religion is necessary. And why does the modern era need religion? Well, this is exactly why. Charlie Kirk being shot, that's an example of why the modern era needs religion. Needs religion. Now, the thing is, without religion, people have a really hard time in finding meaning. And most go down the line of a really dark and depressing kind of nihilism, where everything is pointless and there is absolutely no meaning to anything at all. Therefore, why do anything? And this alone makes people very depressed, and it sort of makes them really nihilistic in a bad sort of sense. Now, there's a difference between like optimistic nihilism, which is like life has no meaning. That actually is sort of a good thing, versus pessimistic nihilism, which is where I think most people go, honestly, when they don't have some form of religion. Without a way to find acceptance or a common unifying ground for people as a general rule, this lets huge problems happen, like the Charlie Kirk thing, one of which is the dehumanization of people, where people are able to look at another human being and not see them as a human being. This is a pretty big deal. This is a really, really, really big deal. The dehumanization of people is one reason why I think religion is kind of necessary. Now, you might say, well, some people deserve to be dehumanized in some way or another. I'd say it's very, very rare. I agree with. Very rarely will I agree with that ever. Rarely, extremely rarely. I think that's almost never the case. Almost never the case. Now, the thing is, once this thing happens of people not having religion, the occurrence of resorting to violence means it is only more incentivized, because this is the way to solve problems. I mean, there's no meaning to anything anyway, so why does it mean anything? So what if I shoot somebody, right? That's the thought process, not necessarily a good one in my opinion either. And this, once again, can lead to problems like the Charlie Kirk incident that happened recently, which is really sad, honestly, because when you're being shot for ideas, that's scary. There's a really big difference, by the way, between Luigi Mangioni's shooting and Charlie Kirk's shooting. Luigi Mangione was basically shooting because some guy was ripping people off and taking their money. That's the really simple reason. So that's one reason to shoot people. But being shot for your ideas and thoughts, and not only that, not even taking money from people, that's a really dangerous road to go down. That is extremely dangerous, because who determines what ideas are right and wrong and stuff? It gets scary at that point. So that's not really too good. Don't want to go down that road. Or recent multiple assassination attempts on high-profile individuals. And by that, I mean the current president of the United States, which is really sad, honestly. I don't know why that happens, but for some reason it does. And people are just that crazy. Actually, I do know why it happens. I take that back. I know exactly why it happens. It's just stupid that it happens. Now, what are the true downsides of religion? Now, religion, even though it actually, in my opinion, has far much more good than bad, it is a unifying force. And this basically means it's no different than technology. Now, I don't know if you've heard the term. Technology is not necessarily a problem. How the technology is used is the problem. The exact same thing applies to religion. Religion is not the problem. It's basically how that religion is pointed, in what direction that religion is going, that could be a problem or not. Basically, you can look at it like a vector force in some sense when it comes to physics, if you want to look at it from a physics perspective, for any physics people watching this. Now, because of this, religion can be used to unify people for a good cause or against a cause. Now, both of which can be good or bad. You can be unified against the murder of people, which is great, or you could be against the cause of, for instance, restricting people's rights. I'm not necessarily a fan of that, but that is an example, because that's actually what most religions do. Now, religion is often cited for doing horrific things, like the Crusades, as an example right here, as you can see. By the way, the Crusades did not look like this. Most of the Crusaders were pretty much all peasants. Like, it was just like tens of thousands of peasants with 300 knights. It was almost nothing. That is an example. Or the Vikings pillaging towns However, the benefit of religion is almost often ignored all the time. What is the benefit of religion then? Now, once again, I think religion is necessary, and one thing that it helps with a lot is this thing up the top left right here: faith, family, and friends. So religion, because it's that vector force, it can amplify certain things and give more value to certain things. And I think family and friends are essential when it comes to giving value to them. Now, even though religion is often cited for wars or violence in this case, religion is also what allowed for the cooperation and unification of people far beyond just 100 people or so. And because of this, it allows for civilization to exist. As you can see right here, this is only possible because of religion. This is very, very difficult to accomplish without religion. This is what builds a society and allows other professions to exist in the first place. An example could be farming, engineering, healthcare. All of these professions can exist because the scale that people can work together is much higher. Now you might say, what exactly does religion bring then that puts people together? Well, to keep it really simple, I think the biggest thing that religion gives in a good way is morals. And you might say, what? People are born with morals. I beg to differ. I think people are not actually born with morals. In fact, the environment of somebody's upbringing will shape their morals. However, religion is kind of there to make sure that the people who also weren't brought up to environmentally well also have good morals anyways. So I think that's one really helpful part of religion. It's a vector force, like I said again. So it basically amplifies any sort of other thing, like friends or family, as an example. And because of this, and because the benefit of religion is a vector force, it preserves the family, and as well as viewing others of the same faith as part of the family as well, which means they will do benefits or basically give cooperation scenarios to those people who are playing the prisoner's dilemma game, or game theory in this case. There's more cooperation in game theory, and that means everybody benefits, because when there's two defectors, then nobody wins. Now, what is the takeaway from all of this? First off, wokeness. And is there bad religion? Yes, it is. I believe it to be a bad religion. And the reason it's a bad religion is because, once again, religion is all about acceptance. And it's supposed to be a vector force. Wokeness, in my opinion, is not a vector force in the right direction. Another picture right here, really important. Happiness can only exist in acceptance. Acceptance is the key. Acceptance. That's what religion has. And once again, the final one, which is what Seneca says: religion is regarded by the common people as true, by the wise as false, and by the rulers as useful. This is what you should be paying attention to the most. It's useful. It's very useful. And why is it useful? You have to know the reason behind it, and then you can use it to your advantage. Now, religion, once again, has its purpose and its usefulness, and to assume that religion is just wrong is not only bad and being ignorant, it's also complete ignorance of human history to not see just the importance and the value that religion brings. Now, another takeaway of this, in my opinion, the biggest one, is you have to find some form of acceptance and reason. Some people use religion, some people don't. Most people need religion, in my opinion, because it's pretty hard to find that form of acceptance without it. And some people will go along the route of depressing nihilism because they don't find that route of acceptance. They just can't find it without religion. So that is very important. You must find some form of acceptance. Now, my personal form of acceptance is very strange. My personal form of acceptance is life is a pay-to-win RNG video game. If you're interested in that video, go check that out. But that's for any gamers out there, because in my opinion, that's how I view life, and it definitely does seem like it's coded like that as well. Now, people must find some form of religion one way or another. If it's not found, a pseudo-religion will usually come about in that person. And once again, religion is a vector force. So all it does is it amplifies every single other thing. And you can easily, because of that, amplify things in the wrong way with these pseudo-religions, like wokeness, for instance, because What wokeness promotes is, on the surface, a good thing, but in practice, in reality, like, this does not work. Human beings are not angels. So yeah. And not only that, extreme polarization and dehumanization of people are almost inevitable because, once again, religion's a vector force, and you can easily shoot that vector in the other way. That's not always a good thing. So yeah. Once again, thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful or informative, please like, share, subscribe, comment down below because it really does help the channel grow. If you have any videos that you want me to make or any topic in particular that you want me to talk about, then go shoot them down in the comments below. It doesn't just have to be about relationships or even about the essential pillars of society or maybe health and understanding proper health, because honestly, I really do want to make content about just about everything that I find to be absolutely essential for people to know, because once again, I view life as a pay-to-win RNG video game, and people are spawned into this life and they're not even given a proper tutorial. At the very least, I'd like to give them a proper tutorial. One that isn't completely false. At the very least, if some of my things are wrong, at least the vector force isn't too far off and it's for the most part in the right direction. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.